Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Stephen and Walter Live, brought to you by our sponsor. We don't have one. Well, you were worried there for a minute. You thought we might have had a sponsor, didn't you? No, we don't have a sponsor. We do not, and that is just fine. Okay, so it looks like this is coming through. Okay, that is good. So let's see who has joined us. Few of you were here very, very early. Our number one person today, Faith, she beat out Russ from Quilt Meets World. But okay, he was here at 10:25 this morning. People, I don't know if we should be flattered that you wanted to get a front row seat early, or there's something wrong with you. Not sure what it is. But anyways, you're here, so
Just
that's
competitive,
good.
I guess.
Very competitive. There's no prize. Sorry. Although there is a prize today, but more about that later. Nina is here. Greetings, Stephen and Walter. Julie is here. Judy is here. And Barb and Kristen and Charlotte and Betty and Gloria and Jeannie and Sue and Arda, who says, good afternoon from a very beautiful sunny day here in San Diego, California, coming off a very successful protesting something in San Diego.
I don't know how to pronounce that word. I have a feeling that was a autocorrect.
Well, maybe she meant here. Very successful protesting here in San Diego. Oh, that's probably what it is. Yeah. Dubravka is here from Timmins. And Melissa is here from Saskatchewan. Where's Melissa? No, yeah, Melissa, Saskatchewan. Barb says sponsored by Canadian Tire.
Oh,
yeah, if only it could be. Walter would be like very happy, especially if they get more discounts. Jen is here. Colleen is here. Winter is back in PEI. Uh-oh, that's not good. Mary's here. Hi, everyone. I fear I just ate my last Canadian tomato. Okay. And Pamela from sunny Minnesota is here as well. Well, right now the temperature here is, what did you say it was?
6 degrees Celsius, which is 43 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, it's a bit nippy in the air. We went out for a walk.
Yeah, it has that. Like it's went out for a walk. I mean, 6. Actually, when we went out, it was 5.
Balmy, shorts weather.
It's and it's sunny, but it has a cool wind. So.
Yeah, the wind's a little on the cool side, but yeah, I decided to go with Walter for a walk today. I should do it more often. I know, but I get my day going. I mean, if I'm going to walk, I should probably do it once I get up before I really get my day going. That's when I should be doing it. But it's dark when I get up too. So, someone might sneak up behind me and abscond with me. Lucky person. Let's see. Barb says it's 17 plus in Calgary. Okay. Maybe we should move to Calgary. Grant's here. Hi, Grant. And it's warm and sunny in California. And Russ says if you're in Australia, you could be sponsored by
Lube Mobile.
Lube Mobile. Their phone number is 133032. And don't ask me why I know that.
Okay, I don't have no idea.
Okay.
I didn't even know there was a Lube Mobile in Australia, so I have no idea.
I thought Russ was trying to do a little dirty joke here. I don't know. But 133032. Okay, I don't know why you know that stuff either, Russ, but your mind is a bottomless pit of information that nobody in their right mind would retain. Need to fill up that pit. Faye says, yes, today it was really early, probably never again. Yeah. And Vicky's here. Hi, Vicky. And Alice is here as well. So lots of people coming in. That's great. So before we get on with the main event, I thought I'd show you the giraffe quilt. I have the top done. And this is what it looks like. Let's get it set. Here we are. So there it is, the giraffe quilt. Now I made a bit of a change. It wasn't, well, I guess it was a bit of a mistake, but not really. There are supposed to cut 401 2.5-inch blue squares for the background on this. But as you move your way down towards the bottom, it becomes green, and there's little pieces of blue that peek out here and there. I think you're supposed to be down in like the hills or something.
I think the head's supposed to be coming out of the trees.
Or treetops. Oh yeah, that would make sense. Giraffes, yeah. Okay, fine. You obviously know more about giraffes than I do. So, but when I got down there, I was out of blue. And not only did I not cut enough squares, and I thought I had miscounted, but I ran out of that blue fabric. I have absolutely none of it left. And do you think I have another blue fabric that matches with this? No. I don't even know where I got this blue fabric from. I don't even know the name of the designer or anything, because I bought this some time ago. It was in my stash. But I thought, well, what the heck? It's supposed to be out of the trees, as Walter says anyways, so I just substitute it where the blue would be with a different shade of green. So anywhere where you see that shade of green that's a little lighter, that was originally supposed to be a blue square. And if I didn't tell you, and if you hadn't seen the pattern, you wouldn't know. So it'll work. It works. So anyways, now the next stage of this is to get it on Lucy and get it quilted. We went yesterday to Ultimate Sewing, and I was looking for backing fabric, and I decided, and I still don't know if this is a mistake or not, but some of you may have some experience with this. I bought Cuddle. It is a baby quilt. So I did buy a blue Cuddle that is very close to the blue in the background of the quilt. It's not exact. I did some research on quilting with Cuddle, and everything that I found about it basically said shouldn't be a problem with it. They did say it's a little bit slippery and it's a little bit stretchier, but it's going on a long arm, so I'm not really worried about the stretch because it'll be basted down with it all. And I also checked out to see if I should pre-wash it, and what I found out was don't matter. It's polyester. It said not to worry about that kind of thing. So I'm not. And with Walter's help, we picked out a design. It wasn't what I had in mind at first, but it's going to do, because I don't want it to be too densely quilted in some ways. Like I don't want it to be stiff.
Actually, I was thinking earlier today.
Oh, did you? I bought the pattern.
Thinking earlier today. You said you had some other quilts that you needed to do that.
Yes, I do.
Would that pattern work on any of those quilts for you? That pattern?
Well, they could go on the ugly quilt, the orphan.
Yeah, well, I thought, if you did it on there just to double check
what it looks like.
What it looks like.
Well, I've done. It's just bubbles.
Oh yeah, okay,
it's basically bubbles, big circles. Kind of a thing. So the giraffe is blowing bubbles.
Yeah.
I did find a couple I kind of liked that were sort of leaf motifs, but found out that the ones that I really liked were border pantographs as opposed to edge to edge. And so I thought the proportion might not be quite right. I mean, I could adjust it, but I didn't want to fool around with it. So we decided to go with the bubbles. And now I have to figure out the color that I'm going to quilt it in. And I'm thinking a very light color that will blend into both the blue and the greens especially. I don't want suddenly the quilting to be very obvious in the blue and not so obvious in the green, or very obvious in the green and not so obvious in the blue. And I don't want to take away from the giraffe because he's the main event.
Do you have any leftover fabric that you can use? Like I know you've got little bits of blue and stuff like that.
Yeah, I have some.
That you could audition some
yeah, probably
stuff
could.
On there. You could just stick it in your sewing machine and run over it and see.
Run over it.
See how it looks.
I'm gonna take it out and put it in the park in the driveway and run over with the car. See how that looks. Yeah, I could do that. I'm not really.
That's actually what I do when I do a shirt. I when I choose what color, because some of my stitching shows, I always take little bits of fabric and choose 5 or 6 colors and do it in my sewing machine to see the color I like best.
Well, I might. In fact, what might be a good idea is if I, when I put the Cuddle on and I take some of that because I've got more cuddle than I need. I mean, the quilt's cuddle came in 70 inches wide. I bought 3 meters of it. This quilt, it measures 42 by 62. So I've got extra, and if I put it all on the frame, so I've got stuff over on one side, then I can just experiment a little bit, and it would also experiment with how the cuddle, like, to check the tension. That's one thing I don't. Nobody say anything about having to change your tension when you're using cuddle, and I don't not. But we'll see how this all works out. I mean, I don't want to blow this, right? Because it's going to be a gift. Mary says it's darling, and Sue likes the giraffe. Vicky loves it too. Everybody's loving it except Gloria. She said something rude and had to retract it. Okay. Faith says, before you ask, I vote for a border. Nope, not going to do a border. It doesn't call for one in the pattern. I thought about doing a border, but I am thinking if I do a border, then it's going to look like it's, well, borders do that, but it's going to look like it's framed. And I like the look, I think, with the binding goes around it. I think that'll be enough. I debated on it though, Faith, but I don't want, because I always put a border on my quilts. To me, a quilt just doesn't look finished without a border. But in this one's case, I think
you're right. Yeah, what do you call it? The binding will be enough.
Yeah, I think it would take away from the central image of it. And I have a feeling that's why Tracy, when she designed this, she didn't put in a border for it too. Mary says the baby will love cuddle. Gloria likes it. Turned out great. Jen says she likes cuddle, but I quilt on a DSM.
What's a DSM?
I don't know.
Designated sewing machine.
Domestic sewing machine. Oh, okay. Betty said, like, look, we have to figure out these short forms, everybody. What is it, people? You can't type the whole word. What's the problem? Lazy fingers. Betty says, quilt top turned out so cute. I love it. Mary says, oh, ask her what brand of machine that Jen has. Artist says, love the giraffe's quilt. The little one will love it. And cuddle is so soft for a baby quilt. Yeah, this will be my first time using cuddle. They told me in the store that the cuddle that they were selling doesn't shed as much as Minky, because I've heard horror stories about Minky, like everything's covered in fluff for the rest of your life. You are, your machine is, the room is. If you have small pets, they're covered in it, all this kind of stuff. Mary says she agrees, no border. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm done with this quilt anyways. Once I'm done. It was a lot. It's like I've said before about this, it isn't a hard quilt to make, but there's a lot of little squares. So you're constantly screwing up on the squares. And I did screw up a couple of times. I had to rip a few things out because I got like a half square triangle turned the wrong way. But I doubled, tripled, and quadrupled checked all the way. And I even had chart made up for each row, even though it was already laid out in a grid in the pattern. My eyes were seeing too much and I would lose my space on a line. So I just did one sheet for one line of thing and I wrote in, this is what the color was. Didn't help that I switched the colors too a little bit. I didn't stick completely to the color scheme they had. But anyways, it's done. I like it. I don't want to screw it up. Colleen says the draft quilt's perfect as it is, and I'm interested to hear how the cuddle is to work with. I have no experience with that type of backing. Well, that makes two of us, Colleen. So, you know, if I get through this and it doesn't screw up, it's going to be a miracle. It will be. But we'll see. But I'll do some experimentation a little bit before I commit.
If you need things picked out.
Yeah. Well, get your little picker ready because there may be picking to be done. A picking and a grinning. Yep. Okay. What have you been working on?
Nothing much this week.
He's making a pie today. What kind of pie?
I made it's just an easy one, banana cream.
A vanilla banana cream.
I offered to make a chocolate one.
Well, I've had chocolate ones before, and I like chocolate ones, but I thought let's mix it up a little bit. Let's try the other white pudding in this. So yeah. Okay, so that's all he's been working on, and everybody's saying, "Oh, no, you're not wearing your
I'm
screw
not
shirt,"
wearing
but
my
everybody saw
screw
that
shirt.
last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so announcements and coming events and this, that, and everything else. That's good. Sewing with Stephanie and Stephen as usual Wednesday. All are welcome. Link is in the show notes. Blah 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 blah, and blah blah. However, next weekend is going to be fun, fun, fun. First of all, on Saturday, I'm having another pop-up sew day. Yes, we just had one 2 weeks ago. So sue me. You've asked for more. I'm giving it to you. Do not complain. All are welcome. Virtual doors open at 8 a.m. It runs all day until 5 p.m. Walter will not be there, so Walter's fan club can all cry in a corner about it. He had his little thing, your in-person retreat that he does. So that's this Saturday, April the 12th, 8 a.m. We open the virtual doors. Come and go as you please. You don't have to be there all day. You don't have to be there right at 8. I know some of you people like to get your beauty sleep. And then there's others that, if you're out in the West Coast, it would be like 5 o'clock in the morning. So probably you don't want to be up that early sewing, or maybe you do. I get up pretty much that time every day. I usually get up at about 5:25. Or I sleep in sometimes and it's 5:30. Yeah. I almost slept in today. I thought about it. I woke
I was
up.
having really weird last night.
Yeah, it explains why my pillow's missing and I'm black and blue. But you were dreaming about beating up a marshmallow.
No, I was on some road trip with a bunch of strange people in a
Strange
in
as
a
in
vintage
funny, or
in a vintage station wagon.
okay.
It was really bizarre.
Yep.
I can't even remember if you were in it or not.
Well, probably not.
I think there was a bunch of women.
Well, it's probably you had lunch.
Oh
this
yeah,
week.
it could be.
Yeah, Walter went to lunch this week with his Goyle friends.
Yeah, with 3 ladies I used to work with. So
Yeah. What time? Your luncheon was at 12? You got home at 4?
yeah.
I'm surprised Melanie didn't kick you out.
Yeah, you know.
from
Well,
the restaurant
we left at about 3, and I stopped at the grocery store on the way home. Yeah, we have a good time when we go out. There's 3 women that I closely worked with for a long time. One lady worked at the first place I worked at. I worked at a place for 9 years first, and then I went to the second company, and it turned out that this one lady worked at the place that I worked at before, and then so I knew her for about 40 years in business. So before we both retired, so
What you have for lunch?
I had salad.
Oh, you had a salad. You know what I had when you
I
weren't
had
here?
the fajita salad.
Guess what I had? A can of beans and frost from the inside of the refrigerator that I licked off until my tongue stuck. No. Yes. When he's not here, I have a can of beans. I love, and before you haters out there go on about, well, I only eat homemade baked beans. Well, good for you. I'll eat any kind of beans. But when I don't have homemade baked beans, what comes out of the can
And
works
he
with
makes
me.
that because I usually don't. I don't like it.
And are we out of hot dogs?
I think we might be.
I want to put a wiener in with my man.
I think there's some sausages in there.
Oh, I didn't want to use a sausage. That was too much wiener. There's something you wouldn't hear from my mouth too often. Anyways, Russ, don't go there. Bad boy. So, yeah. So what we're talking about, pop-up sew day. Now, if you thought sewing with Stephanie and Stephen on Wednesday, pop-up sew day on Saturday, wait, there's more. And there's balloons. Let's have some.
Yeah, that's not working.
Now it's not working. Oh, well, I don't know. Okay, good enough of that bunny ears. Oh, there it goes. Anyways, Russ is having a sewing shenanigans day on the Sunday. And so if you want to know more details about that, you need to go to Russ's website. I don't think, Russ, you announced it this week, did you? So you're holding off until Wednesday to announce it probably on your vlog this week coming up. So check that out. So pop-up sew day on Saturday. Sewing shenanigans on Sunday. So, you know, no excuse for you not to be catching up on some of your projects because we're all there. Rumor has it, Russ says, there won't be a sewing shenanigans in May. No, because you're going to transfer your shenanigans to your sister. I know your plans. You've shown me some of them. Poor sister. Yeah. The brother like you, who needs siblings? Mary says her son's favorite pie is banana cream. My favorite pie is any pie. Except that blueberry one you made.
Yeah,
that was weird.
Well, it was frozen blueberries, and those blueberries really didn't have a lot of flavor to them.
Well, they had a flavor, but it wasn't what I expected.
Well, I was never fond of blueberry pie in the first place, but I thought I'd make it.
I've had blueberry pie before, and I've always liked blueberry pie. Like I said, I like any pie, except that one. Denise is here. Hi, Denise. Beautiful day in the Rockies. What kind of beer are you drinking? Wet? No.
Steve's drinking Guinness, and I'm drinking a Sleeman Clear because it's low in carb.
Low in carb, yeah. Walter always told me that I would never like Guinness, and that's why I never ever had it. Then one time I decided to try it, and guess what? It's my preferred beer now. He was wrong. I was right. You won't hear that often. Okay. So, what else is coming up? The retreat. Yes, just when you thought it was safe to go back into the sewing pool. There will be a retreat in a couple of weeks' time. That is on Saturday, April the 26th. It's my, I never know, is it semi-annual, biannual, whatever. I do them twice a year. One in the spring, one in the fall, so whatever that is. So this is the spring one, and there is a special video that I have created and will go live at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, and it has all the details about the retreat. Everything you wanted to know, and maybe some things you didn't want to know as well. I will talk about what this is especially for the newbies, but it's probably good for any of you that have been to a retreat before. Nothing has majorly changed in procedure. As always, you will have to register for it. Registration is not open yet. Registration will not open until 1 week from this Monday, and that's in the video at 9 a.m. April the 14th. Monday, April the 14th. That's when registration will begin. It's free. It is a free event. This will cost you nothing. But the reason you have to register is because my Zoom license, because yes, again, if you've never been to one of my retreats, it is not a YouTube live. It is not recorded. It is a Zoom. And my Zoom license allows me 100 people. But I need about 4 or 5 of those spots reserved for Walter and myself. I run several different computers that day. And then Walter will have his computer on for it too, to help out if he ever wakes up before it ends, with, you know, whatever happens.
I'll get up early.
Oh, yeah. I've heard that before.
I get up early to go to the dentist, so.
Yeah, you do, but that doesn't mean you're really awake. But, you know, like... Anyways, yeah, so all the details will be in that video tomorrow. As I said, those of you on my mailing list, I'm going to send all the same information that's in the video out to you on the mailing list. You're going to get several things this week from me if you're on the mailing list. You're going to get that. Then you're going to, and also tomorrow, you will also get the Zoom link for Sew Day. And I usually send out a reminder about that on Thursday as well. So you're going to expect to see 3 emails from me this week. I don't usually send out that many, but it's just the nature of the beast right now. So all the details will be there for you, and how you register, what information you need to give me. It's very, very simple to register. As you're going to find out, it's just a question of sending me an email with your first and last name, real ones, and your contact email if it's different from the one you send it to, because that contact email is very important. Also, there's a whole little bit on there about the blacklist. So you want to watch the video and hear all about that. Okay, let's see. Barbara Barb says, love beans out of a can with cut up hot dogs. Yep, one of my favorites. Rumor, okay, we saw that. Andy's here. Hi, Andy. And the other Sue is here. Thanks, Sue. She likes both our shirts. Well, they're all Walter's creations. All right, so what else? Okay, so Chatty, this past week we talked about tricks that online quilt stores, quilt stores in general, sewing machine sales right now, all the scams that are out there, or not all of them are scams. Some of them are just, tricks to get you to buy things. So we talked about all of those and how those affect us, and especially AI, because I am sure you have noticed that a lot of things now are using AI. YouTube especially is rampant with AI. If you see something that's got clickbait and you go to it, it is probably AI generated. How can you tell? It's easy. Stock photos, stock video. Oftentimes repeat it, the same ones throughout the video. Listen to the voice.
Yeah, the voice sounds almost a little bit too monotone and too mechanical
on it. And sometimes what they do is they have an AI voice, but what they've done is they've typed in a script, and in some cases, if it's not edited, the AI will also say what the punctuation is. I heard one last night. We were watching something, and it said, and this, and this, colon. And you went, okay, AI. And there's a lot of it. And I swear, every week it gets more and more sophisticated. So, yeah, and advertisers are using it a lot, and content creators. And that's scary, because what these people are doing are really kind of trying to capitalize on monetization.
Yeah, and they're just pumping out videos.
Yeah, just pumping out videos because the AI is creating them for them. And that also questions the whole, like, what we're hearing, can we believe it? But then again, content creators who not are AI generated, most of us content creators, what you're hearing is opinion, right? It's not necessarily the absolute for sure fact, but that's the way our world is right now, isn't it? Everything you have to take with a grain of salt. So we did talk about that. Now next week, we're talking about doing a deep cleaning of Walter's 6700 Janome 6700P sewing machine. We have said this before. Well, we're going to do it this time. We have to do it in advance because we'll have to record it as we go through it. But it should be very interesting to see how much gunk is in that machine, because that machine's never been deep cleaned. And it's 7 years heavy use. So we'll see.
Well, it's not that heavy use. Not like you. I don't use it that heavy.
Fine.
But it has been used, like,
a
lot. I've made a lot of bags on it, and bags are fluffy. Because my bobbin gets really filled up when I do a bag.
Yeah, well, it'll just be interesting to see how much is there. I know when I cleaned out my M7 deep clean, and it was its first time after several years. Now, I keep my pretty clean. But, the deep cleaning, there was next to nothing in it. So, and like Walter said, I do use my machine more than he uses his. I'm a heavy duty user. So,
but I mean, I've done some pipe cleaning when I've done it, and pulled out some big fuzzies. So I'm sure there's some big fuzzies.
Got right in there with your long little pipe cleaner and just probed it, did you? I'll get you. Reaming out its, never mind. But yeah, so that's what we may have on the agenda. And okay, this is a little teaser because I haven't got it figured out. I just discovered something today. Did you know it is possible to do paper piecing, foundation paper piecing, with your embroidery machine? Not going to say any more. I'm exploring this a little further, but I did something today that really turned my crank. So, yep, that's coming up. That's all I'm going to say. Wild dogs will not get any more information out of me. Because I don't have any more information. But anyways, let's see here. Denise says, Bush's beans and a smoky cooked over the campfire is the best. Okay, I've had the bush beans. It's an American thing because they're not that good. And then there's another brand too, not that good, called Stag. At least in my opinion, I am a fine connoisseur of canned beans. I'll have you know that. Just saying.
Which ones do you prefer, Heinz?
I prefer Heinz. I do. Although in a pinch, I will eat the yellow label ones. That's what I had actually the other day because it was a pinch. Yeah. And they're okay, but they're a little more.
What, the no name?
Yeah, the no name PC brand or whatever they are.
No name Canadian
Superstore. Yeah. Right, President's Choice. I think they should start changing that name.
It's not President's Choice. It was No Name. No Name is supposed to be cheaper, but it isn't usually.
Oh, okay. But anyways, they have more liquid in them. They're not as thick. Let's see. Sandy says, "Hi, Sandy. I've been noticing more and more. So scary." I think she means the AI.
I think it's one of those new things that people have to get used to, and
well, it's not going to go away.
It's going to have to develop its own way, I suppose.
Oh, there's a girl after my own heart. Barb says Heinz beans are the best. Now, Heinz beans, though, they're American, aren't they?
They may be prepared in Canada. It's just like ketchup.
Well, there are certain things that we cannot avoid that come from the States and that we don't want to avoid. So, yeah, can't do it all. In fact, that's what my rant's going to be about on Monday, tomorrow on my vlog. Stay tuned. Spoiler alert. Okay, so that's what we have planned for So Chatty this coming week. And, okay, a week ago or so, Walter went to get his tooth fixed because he was, doing something that my mother always said you're not supposed to do. Biting down on hard candy. Hard licorice. And Walter broke a tooth. And the tooth fairy fixed it. But what happened?
Sometime during the night, one night I woke up and it was gone.
It was got what? Oh, you swallowed it?
Yes.
Ooh.
Well, I don't know when it broke off because I wasn't. It's in a spot where if I don't stick my tongue in there, I don't know that it's gone. So, all of a sudden one day I noticed that it wasn't there anymore.
It does bake. Stick your tongue where?
on the tooth.
Okay, just clarifying that.
So anyway, yeah, it wasn't there anymore. So I phoned them up and I got another early morning appointment with the same doctor, and
the tooth fairy.
He fixed it really good this time. So, and I didn't have to pay.
Yeah, it was warranty work.
Yeah, warranty.
Yeah, I thought for sure that you were going to end up with getting a cap or something.
No, they weren't licorice pipes. They were Dutch salted licorice, but they're not really salted licorice. There's some sugar in them. So I had the no sugar added ones.
Yeah, but he bit them.
Well, they're chewy, and they can be chewy.
Oh, like that time I pulled my crown out in a goober.
They're chewy, and I can't resist I can't resist chewing them. I have a hard time resisting chewing them.
Well, I'll never forget. I think I told this story at some point in time, but I'll tell it again. We went years ago with a bunch of friends into Toronto to a movie theater to see Sing-Along Sound of Music. Okay? And I got some candy at the concession stand, and they had goobers. Now, I had never had goobers because goobers are something that aren't that available here in Canada, at least at that point in time, because they're an American product, and I wanted to try these goobers. So I got them, and we're sitting there, and there is an old joke about what's the dirtiest thing that's ever been said during the Sound of Music. And it has to do with Mother Superior when, Julie Andrews, Maria, goes running back to the convent because she's so flustered because, the captain is now, she kissed him and all this kind of stuff, and she doesn't know what to do. And the Mother Superior looks at her and goes, Maria, what is it you can't face? Well, except that
comes out in an English accent.
It comes out in an English. No, it's not English. It's German.
Or German accent.
German or Swiss. I think. They're not in Switzerland. They're in Germany.
Yeah.
They're in Austria. I think. Anyways, I never got the joke. All right. So during the sing-along that comes up to that scene, I had just popped a couple of goobers in my mouth. And then it comes on the scene, and she goes, and it's with an Austrian accent, and she goes, Maria, what is it you can't face? And I got it. Now, I don't know if you just got it, because I'm not going to repeat it, because it's a nasty word, but I bit down into that goober. I started to laugh. My jaw unhinged from the goober.
You started laughing, and I started laughing. And then I didn't know what he was laughing at. And then he started laughing even harder because he pulled the crown off.
Well, I wasn't really laughing about the crown. I pulled my crown off my back molar. I didn't lose the crown, though. I had it in my hand. But, yeah.
The people ahead of us were going, what the hell are you laughing at?
Yeah. So then I went to the dentist, actually the same one that Walter was at the other day. And he fixed it. But he asked me, how did you do that? And I said, well, let me tell you.
Now that you've heard this, you'll have to go see the movie.
You have to see that line.
And you'll see that line.
Yeah. Yep. Maria, what is it you can't never mind. Took me a long time to get it, but I got it, but it cost me my crown. Barb says about yours, I'm guessing the toilet is all made an exit already into the toilet.
Well, the piece I had the original piece that came out, and when it happened the first time, and it's a little teeny tiny, it feels like a huge piece if you stick your tongue in your tooth, but it's a little teeny tiny little piece. It's like a tiny kernel.
Denise says she has to drive an hour to buy Heinz beans. Our little grocery store has Bush or a yucky no name. Oh, it's worth the drive. Or you stock up, get a case.
Well, what about the English Heights that you have? You've had English.
Yeah,
Heights
I tried
before.
the English Heights. Anyone know something? There's no difference.
No,
there's really no difference between the two. The reason we tried them is because I have heard people say, "Oh, Heinz products, from Britain, theirs are so much better than what we get over here in North America." It's the same with Cadbury chocolate. Well, they are right about Cadbury chocolate. When we go to the Dutch store, they have a British section, and we always get Cadbury chocolate that comes from Britain there, and that's where I got the Heinz beans that came from England too. Well, the Heinz beans, I couldn't really tell the difference between. They were pretty much the same with it, but the Cadbury chocolate though is different for sure.
It tends not to be quite as sweet as our chocolate.
Barb got the joke. Charlotte, I think, just got it too. So did Denise. So did Sandy. Colleen says, you haven't lost your crown, Stephen. Well, old queens just get wrinkly, but they never lose their crown. No, they'll be burying me in it. See what I mean? It sneaks up on you, right? Gloria just got it too. Yeah, it's a thinker. You have to think about it. So you'll never be able to see Sound of Music, that part of it, again, the same way you have before. It's going to change everything. Okay. So, before we get a little bit more serious here, I think it's time to have a prize draw. Here's the box. Not going to tell you what's in it, but this is what's up for grabs. It's the first live of the month. So, now, people, we've had trouble with your typing. Okay, so I'm making it easy for you. You don't have to worry about uppercase or lowercase. If you want to be in the draw, all you have to do for the next couple of minutes, we'll cut it off in about 5 minutes, is just simply type in 1, 2, 3. The numbers. 1, 2, 3. No spaces, no commas, no periods, no quotation marks. Just 1, 2, 3. So if you want to be included in the draw for this month, 1, 2, 3. Count them. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Okay. So while you guys are doing that, we're going to talk about a little bit more serious in our political minute. So it looks like, and this was predictable, wasn't it? We all knew it.
Russ.
Yeah, Russ is being funny. He's like that. He's funny on so many levels. Most of them institutionalizing. Okay, so the world is retaliating against tariffs, Trump's tariffs. Ha ha. Oh, what a shock. Never thought of it. So you Americans are going to suffer with this. You may not be feeling it instantly, but you will feel it. You're going to feel it. And it's going to get worse because that orange pumpkin, I shouldn't call him a pumpkin because that's an insult to pumpkins. Oh, let's just call him what he is, asshole. Yeah, he's going to, when he sees, now that he sees the world is retaliating, he's going to turn around and even up them more for other countries. I mean, what, China just put 34% more?
I can't remember what China.
There was something right there, and the whole bit. And I'm sorry, we can't escape Chinese. They're everywhere. You know, like most of our stuff really does come from China. So, yeah, that's interesting. But one thing I have to say right now that shows a little glimmer of hope was this past weekend. We saw on YouTube and that protests right across the United States in groves of people against Trump and what he's doing. Thank goodness. You're finally showing some backbone, people. You're standing up a little late. You should have thought about doing this before you put him in power. Sorry if that insults some of you, but hey, look, you guys are threatening my country. You know how we feel about it. Yeah, I know. You didn't all vote for Trump. I get it. That's not an excuse. You didn't help the Democrats get in. But then who can blame you? Your country's not ready yet for a black woman to be president. I wouldn't even insult our country by calling, even in fun, the president of the United States a prime minister. That's a classier title. He doesn't deserve it. So it's nice to see. But will the orange pumpkin really recognize this? He was out, from what I saw on reports, he's out golfing on the weekend. He's the president, doesn't seem to work on weekends. 5 days a week president. I mean, it seems to me that the leaders of any country are pretty much on 7/24, 365. They may take a little time off to use the taxpayers' money to go to a conference or whatever, or a summit, as they like to call it. But yeah. So let's hope, though, he won't pay any attention to it at all. His ego won't allow him to. But the people around him, and possibly the people who are in the Congress or whatever, in the Senate, maybe some of them will start to have second guesses about supporting this guy or whatever. So anyways, I guess we're grasping at straws here for anything that might look positive, because of course the stock market was not at all. Again, everybody knew this was going to happen. He opens his little pumpkin hole and everything goes down. Oh, it's temporary though. It's temporary. Need a little pain for gain, according to him. Yeah, how much pain is he suffering? I don't think so, or his cronies and that kind of thing. So, yeah. So we here in Canada are applauding those of you that were out protesting. We wish you lots of luck with that.
Unfortunately, everything that happens in your country spills over to our country. So.
Yeah.
And spills over to everybody else in the world, too,
and I'm sorry, but our relationship is kind of on the rocks. right now. It's going to take a lot to win us back, and it's flour and chocolate's not going to do it, people. We're holding out for diamonds. Just keep that in mind for all of that. So, okay,
lots
Sandy
of one,
says,
2, 3s.
Yep. Sandy says we are going to feel it. Yes, you are. 100% on agriculture from China. And Kansas is a big agricultural state, so they're going to feel it. We had 4,000 at our capital in Kansas yesterday. That's great, Mary. I really applaud you for that. But it's kind of a double-edged sword because we're applauding you now for after the fact. Because whose fault is it? Got to keep this in mind, people. Yeah, nobody is innocent in your country. No, sorry. Can't do it. So we got 1, 2, 3s going on. Okay, Doug is here. Hi, Doug. All right. Everybody got it in there because I'm going to go to the bot and see who our winner is going to be. Okay, so all right, I'm going to choose the winner right now. No, why does it not let me choose the winner? Oh, okay, everybody. Nightbot's acting up. You got to do it again. So we'll give you a few minutes here. Put in 1, 2, 3 again. Even if you've done it already, do it again. And Kim's here. And Vicky. Okay, Vicky's got 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'll give you a couple of minutes, people, to put it in again because apparently Nightbot didn't like it the first time we did it.
Well, I guess you had to.
I guess I had to be in this. Yeah. Okay. Oh, it's coming in now. Okay. We'll give you a minute or two. So while you're doing that, what else can we say about that hasn't been said already?
Well, yeah, I think everybody's getting sick of it anyway, so.
Yeah, but we're sick of it, but you can't give up. It's early days still. He needs to be pounded constantly. We can't do it. I would gladly be part of those protests if I was living in the United States, but not my country, not my president here and everything. And we are going to have our own little problems. Well, right now we're in the middle of an election going on. And there are some nasties happening here too. Not that you Americans would know because you guys don't know anything about our country or you don't see anything on your news because it's just not reported about it all. So yeah, but we've got some nut jobs in our country as well. So not as nutty as Trump, but then is there anybody in the world as nutty as him? I don't think so. But okay, give it one more minute. If you haven't put in 1, 2, 3, put in 1, 2, 3 if you want to be there. And Russ is singing. Russ, I think it's time to change your medication. I really do. Okay, people. I'm seeing a few more coming in. I want everybody to have a chance. Mary says, thank heavens we have a congressional election in less than 2 years. Yeah, maybe. I heard this on YouTube, somebody talking about this going, unless he finds some way of blocking that. Because he's found stuff. Or not him. He can't read. But he's got lawyers who are just going through all of your laws, your constitution, a whole bit, looking for loopholes.
Or Elon Musk decides to give everybody a prize of $1 million to
elect a Republican judge. Well, he lost his money. Not a good investment. And that was something to be like happy about too, to see people, you know, they saw through that. No, Dubrovka, it's 1, 2, 3, not 1, 3, 3. There we go. She's corrected now. Okay. Okay, guys. We're going to spin the wheel and see what Nightbot comes up with. Here we go.
Oh, there it is.
CC Farmer.
Don't know who that is.
There's no CC Farmer in the chat. Okay, it must have been set up so it would pick other ones. So we're going to re-roll that one because there is no CC Farmer. Yes, there is. There, up there at the top. CC Farmer, who are you? I need a name, please. So can you tell me your name? Because I don't recognize you. And I have a distinct feeling you are not a you have to be a subscriber to be on here. So, oh, I'm playing with the wrong one. So CC Farmer. Yeah, you're here, but who are you, CC Farmer? I need a name, please. Caroline. Okay, Caroline, what I need you to do is send me an email with your first name, your last name, your mailing address, and I will ship this out to you. Okay? I will put in the chat as soon as I find it. Okay, here it is. I will put in the chat my email address for you. It's just my first and last name at Simpatico. Be sure to spell Simpatico correctly. Make sure you spell my name correctly as well. Don't leave off the end. So Stephen Bland at simpatico.ca, and there it is for you. Okay. Okay, just email me with your first and your last name, your full mailing address, along with your, if you are you American or Canadian? If you're American, I need a zip code. If you're Canadian, I need a postal code for that. Okay, so congratulations, Carolyn. And you'll be getting this soon in the mail. And we'll have another draw next month on the first live. Okay. So let's get into the main topic today. And today we're going to talk about traditions, Canadian traditions, and religion here in Canada. More or less how we approach religion, because we have a lot of different religions in this country. Now, I know Americans have a lot of different religions too, but a lot of your religions tend to be very right Christian bound. And we have others that have nothing to do, and a lot of them, with Christianity. But before we do that, let's look at what...
She's Canadian.
What?
She's Canadian.
Oh, yay, Canadians. Could be cheaper to send it to you. Yay. If you tell me you live down the street from me, even better, I'll hand deliver it. Okay, so let's go here. Culture and traditions. Okay, so are we that much different from the Americans? Well, no, we have births and we have birthdays. However, it says here, Canada is not a country with a lot of particularly flashy folk traditions, which isn't to say none exist. And what they mean by that is, if you were to ask us what our customary dress is, what our ethnic dressing is, we don't have one. Like, you think of the Dutch, you think of like those little white hats and apron and wooden shoes, and a tulip hanging out of their mouth. If you think of Russians, you think of those fur hats up on and these long boots and Cossacks or whatever they call them, or that kind of stuff. Even if you think of the British, you think of the British and you think of those ones that wear all the buttons, there's a name for that, but I can't remember what it is. That kind of stuff. You think of Italians, they're usually running around with spaghetti out of their nose. I don't know, stuff like that. Americans, Americans, I don't think they really have a native dress, but we think of Sam and the red, white, and blue. Americans love their patriotic colors, right? In Canada, we do not have the equivalent to an Uncle Sam. Red and white are our colors, but we don't tend to dress in them very often. I mean, right now you see a lot of red and white as we, get out there in our protest against what's going on from Trump. But really, we don't have a native costume, I guess. Now, if you go to Quebec, they have the Courrier de Bois look. It's the kind of a knitted thing and a sash and kind of a deal and puffy sleeve shirt. If you go out to the western provinces, it's a high number of Ukrainian people out there. So you've got, Ukrainian dress. If you
We
go
have a fair bit of Ukrainians here.
Yeah, we have lots of Ukrainians here. But what I'm saying is basically we don't have something that is clearly identifiable as this is what a Canadian looks like according to their clothes. So we don't have that. It talks here about our holidays. I think we have less holidays than Americans do. I mean, what are our major holidays? Okay, Christmas, New Year's Day. Okay, we both have that in the country.
Now a lot of places have Family Day in February 18th.
Yeah,
area.
that's become so February.
And I think that's usually President's Day or something.
Yeah,
like that, isn't it?
we have Easter, of course.
So most people get Good Friday off. Some people get Easter Monday off, but not everybody. It's not really a sanctioned holiday.
No. Have July the 1st, which is
Canada Day.
Canada Day, which Americans would call it's like July the 4th for Americans. We have the 2-4 weekend, May 2-4 weekend, May 24th, which is actually Queen Victoria's birthday. She's dead, has been for a long time. But we have that, and that's kind of the unofficial opening of the cottage season and summer.
Planting season.
And planting season, that kind of thing. We have Labor Day. We do have in some provinces, I don't know if all the provinces have.
Most of them have it August 1st or whatever. Or the first Monday. I think it's the first Monday in August.
We call it the Civic Holiday or Lord Simcoe Day.
Yeah. In Ontario.
In Ontario. So our holidays, a lot of them are based more upon provincial.
And then we have a Thanksgiving Day in October.
Our Thanksgiving is earlier than Americans. We have Labor Day, of course, in September. So maybe we have as many.
Yeah.
We have Remembrance Day, but that's really not a holiday anymore, except for federal workers and banks. On that. It used to be a holiday. Schools used to be closed. They're not anymore for that. So, yeah, I suppose most of our holidays are similar to the Americans, except we do have other ones so that certain groups in our society, like we have Diwali, we have Ramadan, we have Kwanzaa.
I mean, they're unofficial and they're not recognized.
They're not recognized by the government as official.
And then the Jewish holidays.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Jewish holidays, they go forever. You've got all of those too. And in the States, they would have those too.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure how popular in the States something like Ramadan and Diwali are. Yeah. They really go all out here on those ones, I can tell you. Especially, I think it's Diwali. Is Diwali the Festival of Lights?
Yeah, it is. And Ramadan usually takes a whole month. So
yeah, it takes a whole month, and there's fireworks every night. Illegal fireworks, because they're shooting them off in their backyards with it. But yeah, they have all of that too. So yeah, because we have such a multicultural country, and that we embrace other cultures. So, if they want to come over here and celebrate something, go for it. Have fun, whatever. So yeah. So now they talk about births. Well, okay, same thing as in the States, pregnancy. I kind of wondered this whole section of this. This comes from the Canadian government, by the way. I mean, maybe in some cultures, baby showers aren't something that are done. They are here. I never understood.
I think each culture does whatever they do, and maybe baby showers are more of a Canadian thing.
Personally, I think baby showers are stupid.
Yeah, well, anyway.
Because if your baby's that dirty, why do you need to give it a shower like that? And baby gifts, those are stupid too. Like, really? As he says, as he's making a quilt. Yeah. When it comes to naming babies, it says it's relatively common, but by no means universal. Canadian tradition for children to be given names from within the family. A son might be named after his father or uncle, for instance, a daughter for her sister or grandmother. Middle names, which are most Canadians have, are very often chosen this way. Children usually take the last name of their father. If children are born to parents who aren't married or simply don't use the same last name, they sometimes will be given a hyphenated last name combining the names of both parents. For example, Martin Jones. Well, okay.
Yeah, I think that's generally from the Christian type population, whereas I don't really know what names like the people that are from non-Christian.
Well, Middle Eastern people often have like multiple names.
Yeah, like I think there's a name. I'm not sure exactly how there's a special naming systems that they use in certain ethnic areas. Like a lot of them, name is I don't know, Sing,
yeah,
or something like that.
Now they say about tradition of giving names from within the family. Well, yeah, but I think they do that in the States too. You know, you may be named after somebody, a grandfather or father. In fact, in my family, which makes it really difficult if you do genealogy, and I did for a while, my great grandfather's name was William Osler Bland. His son, his oldest son, was named William James Bland. That would be my great-grandfather. His son, firstborn, was named William Percy Bland. He was my grandfather. My father, who was the oldest son, was named William Lyle Bland. I am the oldest son. My mother wanted me to be called William Stephen. My father said he didn't want any kid named after him. So I'm not William Stephen. I'm actually William Eric.
No, you're not. You're Stephen.
Oh, sorry, Stephen Eric. I don't know what I am. I'll have another drink. No, yeah, I'm Stephen Eric. Well, thank you for correcting me, Walter. Yeah, Walter Richard or Dick.
I'm named after my grandfather, whose first name is Wouter, Wouter. But my parents anglicized the name to Walter, and my middle name, my father's name was Dirk, Derk, and they didn't think of Walter Dirk would work, so they changed that to Richard. So
which means
I'm Walter Richard.
Or
I'm a dick.
You're a dick. But anyways.
But my dad's nickname at work was Dick, so he had
Dick runs in your family.
He had his nameplate at work was Dick, and he engraved all his tools, which I have inherited, and my tools all are engraved with Dick on. So I have a bunch of Dick tools.
Okay, whatever. And just see here, people are making let's see here. Susan says, RCMP uniform? Well, that is associated with when people think of this, especially the stereotype of Canadians, you'll see the traditional RCMP uniform. So that's true. But I'm not in the RCMP, so we can't wear it.
Yeah, but that has slightly changed as well with the modern times because with people that wear turbans, there is an official turban for the RCMP to wear.
Yeah, true. See, that's the other thing too in our clothing. We have from other cultures that is blended into what we wear. So, you know, we have police uniforms, but if they are of Sikh background or whatever, they will wear a turban.
An official turban.
An official turban. It will have the coat of arms, like the badge for the police in that as well. So, yeah. Even one of the members of parliament for the opposition party, the NDP, the leader of the NDP is of Sikh background, and he wears a turban all the time. So, yeah. I mean, there was controversy over that at one point in time when the police decided they would allow that or not allow it, and there was a lot of protests about it. But now,
yeah, like we have police officers with an official police officer turban
Yeah.
as well.
But now you don't even notice it. Like,
No, I don't notice it either.
we don't care. It's fine. Whatever. Adds a little color to the uniform. Oh, Denise says, what is Remembrance Day? Remembrance Day is, I guess, Veterans Day in the States. Yeah. Remembrance Day for the wars, kind of a thing. Vicky says, our Native American have beautiful costumes and are very large powwows. Yeah, and we have the same here.
Yeah, well, yeah, Native, or what we consider Native Americans, or
Native
Canadians. Sorry.
Yes, slip there.
Oops.
Yeah. Andy says, one of the California wildfires was caused by people doing a baby sex reveal up in the... Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, because they get really elaborate with them now. Things blow up and shoot up. Like, oh, really, people? You're not the only ones that ever had a kid. Yeah, I'm sure it's special to you, not to the rest of the world. It's just another mouth to feed and to add to our pollution count. Teresa says, I always feel bad for U.S. moms when I hear how little maternity leave they get. Here we get 6 months paid with an option of 6 more months unpaid, as far as I can recall. My boy's 25. Yeah, that's true. And Teresa says she's of Dutch descent, and we followed the grandparents' name. First boy, paternal grandpa. First girl, maternal grandma. Second boy, maternal grandpa, etc. You don't get to be creative until child number 5. So is that how it worked in your family?
More or less. My parents sort of, when I was born in Canada, so my parents somewhat anglicized my names. But my sister's names was, Margaret was named after my dad's mother, and Jessie was named after my mom's mother.
So it follows in your family,
and
too.
my Jessie's second name was my grandfather's name. Was my grandfather was Albert, so Jessie is Yitzka Alberta.
Yitzka Alberta. Yeah. Well, actually, my uncle, my father's brother, his middle name was Alberta. Because that was named after one of the grandmothers. Her name was Alberta or something, like her middle name. I forget how that worked out or something. It's kind of weird for him to... No. It wasn't Alberta. It was Rowe. His middle name was Rowe because my great-grandparents were Rose, and his mother, my grandmother, was a Rowe before she got married. So they gave him her maiden name as his middle name.
Yeah, actually, my sister Margaret was named after my grandmother, which was my dad's mother, and her middle name is named after my other grandmother, Yitzka. So it was Margaret Yitzka. Jessie was Yitzka Alberta.
Of course, now, mind you, people are finding really weird names to name their kids.
Yeah.
Well, believe me, when I was teaching school, there would be names that I could not pronounce. Of course, a lot of those names came because they came from a different cultural background.
Yeah, well, then there were a lot of ones that were names here that ended up being names of the current soap opera stars or whatever.
Yeah, I remember all that stage that people went through. Barb says, in the U.S., quite often sons are named after the father. For example, John Smith Jr., the second or the third. Yeah. I mean, how to make your kids sound illustrious, giving them a 2 or a 3 at the end of their name. John Smith III.
And then people will do weird things too. So
Dubrovka says she saw one of our older videos and says she does like Wally.
I don't like Wally.
Yeah, he says my day was Walter and his friends called him Wally. Yeah, yeah, he didn't.
When I was a little kid, everybody called me Wally, but yeah. I grew out of that.
Well, Barb said, Jess, and I forgot about this because this is pretty recent. In Canada, we also have now a day called Reconciliation Day.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Which is a federal, I don't know, do people get the day off? I don't think they do.
I'm not sure if they do.
I don't know.
I don't think we had that when I was working, so no. I don't remember.
Reconciliation Day is a day for remembrance to what the government and the Catholic Church back 100 years ago or more. Well, right up until, well,
less than 100 years.
Yeah,
ago.
less well started over 100
Yeah.
years ago, but it's right up to current times. Basically, what they did to the native children, and that like tried to strip them of their culture, put them in residential schools. Many of those children were sexually abused. Their names were changed. They tried to wipe out their all of their cultural background, and so the government's been under fire for this. Every government we have has been under fire with this, with the native people, and so this is one of the things that the federal government decided to do. I don't know. I don't think it makes a heck of a lot of difference for many reasons, but we do have our problems with our native indigenous people as well here. So, Branca says she was named after her father, Branco Branca. Branca. Okay, that one's alliteration. Andy says, my first son's middle name is my maiden name. My second son was named after my father. Yeah, everybody's got their traditions, I guess. Teresa says she gave her son her dad's name as a middle name. And then Mary said, we used to own a business, and one of our customers was Declaration of Independence Johnson. You're kidding. Okay, that one takes the cake. Barb says it is on September 30th and is a federal statutory holiday. So it has been made statutory now, Barb says. But I don't remember this year that things were closed down on Reconciliation Day if it was a statutory holiday.
I'm not sure. I can't remember.
They keep changing. They were working on it, so I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
what
usually
Doug
on our
is gonna...
statutory holidays, a lot of the stores are not allowed to open. So.
Oh, Doug says not a paid day, just like the Remembrance Day. Too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. France says provincial government employees are off on September 30th for Reconciliation Day and are encouraged to do something that day and to learn more about the history of the day. Yeah, that's right. So we got to clarify here. It is not, it's, I'm going to question whether or not, and I don't know for sure. But if it's a statutory holiday, I thought statutory holiday said everything shuts down.
Yeah.
But if it's a holiday, a federal holiday, then federal employees get the day off. But other employees, it depends on their employer. And stores were open on September 30th. I'm pretty sure they were. So, so I don't know. Anymore, I'm not even sure what statutory holiday even means in this country anymore. Because even on Christmas Day, there are things that are open.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and that was supposed to be statutory holiday as well. Yeah, it says schools are open on September 30th. Yeah, so that's not a statutory holiday.
Yeah, no.
At least not by unless they've changed the definition of statutory, which is possible. Who knows? Like I said, we didn't even know we had Reconciliation Day until suddenly, whoa, it's Reconciliation Day. Okay. All right, so Canadian birthdays, yeah, we have them. Everybody has a birthday. And we do the same thing. Graduating from school. Okay, this is ridiculous because when we went to high school, the big graduation you had was when you finished high school. Of course, you had graduation after university or college. But now they have graduation from kindergarten to grade 1. And they put the little buggers in little gowns and caps, and they all take their little pictures, and they look so cute and sweet. And then they have graduation, grade 8 graduation, when they're going into high school. And again, that used to be, no, we had a graduation in grade 8, but, there was basically, you got your grade 8 diploma or something like that, had awards or things, and then they had a party, like a dance in the gym. But now they have gowns as well. And then you go to high school, of course, you have that all over. I mean, it doesn't make it special anymore.
No.
It really doesn't. And besides, graduating from grade 8 in North America really is not a rarity. In fact, graduating from high school, the vast majority of people have a high school education. Now, back 30 years ago, 50 years ago, and beyond that, it was a big milestone for someone to go that far.
Mm-hmm.
But at least in this country, because usually our country back 100 years ago was very agricultural based, and kids didn't necessarily finish high school because they were needed on the farm
Mm-hmm.
for harvest and everything else. So, they may have got a couple of years high school level or whatever, and that was just kind of the norm. So it was a big to do if somebody actually went through entirely through high school and went on beyond that. But now it's like, okay, you participated, so you get a ribbon. Everybody's a winner, kind of a thing. So I don't think it's any special, and I also think it's a bunch of pretentious parents. Oh, get over it. Your kid's going from kindergarten to grade 1. Good for you. Wow. So what? Does that mean they're potty trained now? They won't wet their pants?
Not always. Not always.
Not always. No, that's true. They know the difference between, the sandbox and kitty litter now, or what? I don't know. Or maybe they don't. Love and marriage. Yeah, we have it. Except in our country, and who knows how much longer it will be legal in the United States, but we've had it long before the United States did. We can get married. Same-sex marriage.
Same-sex marriage, but we have also something else called common law.
Yes.
So if you're living with another person, whether it's the same sex or opposite sex for at least a year, you are considered a couple. Mm-hmm. And you have some legal obligations.
Yeah, like if you separate or whatever, and if one wants to, you can split up just like a divorce.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I mean, you don't have as many. I think it's a little bit harder. You have to prove that you're in a common law relationship in order to
qualify. If you take it that far,
to qualify for getting a recognition of the split up or whatever. But it is legal. You are considered a common law situation, and businesses have to accept if you have benefits and it allows for a spouse, they have to recognize your common law relationship as well.
Yeah. Well, I guess Carolyn, who won today, she was so excited when she won. She was making spaghetti for dinner and her noodles overflowed. Oh, we knocked the noodles out of her. Okay, and just looking here, let's see. Andy says, the dog trainer had a graduation. My boxer almost didn't make it. When she got her certificate, all the other dog owners applauded. Embarrassing. Well, there's graduation for everything, isn't there, with it. Denise said her dad only had grade 3 education as he was working on the ranch. Yeah, well, that was not uncommon back, a couple of generations ago. Teresa says, I agree that a big deal about grade 8 is so overrated. You've just learned how to walk by then. At least high school proves you're potty trained. Yeah, true. Not always, though. Denise says, I attended a K through 8 Catholic elementary school. We had graduation and a mass to celebrate 1960. Nothing wrong with that. No, there's nothing wrong with that. What I'm saying is there are young girls in grade 8 who are buying dresses for their grade 8 graduation that cost as much as someone going to the prom in their senior year at high school and beyond. That gets a little ridiculous. And that's not the kid. That's the parents. Like, okay, so your kid graduated. Good for you. Means they won't be on the streets. Okay. That's a nice thing. And Pamela says, amazing how 100 years ago doesn't seem that long ago now that I'm 69. Oh, Pamela, we won't go there. Cynthia says, Yukon won 86-52. I think, so excited. I can't remember. No idea what Cynthia's talking about. That's in code, but she's got emojis to back it up. Oh, and Mary says that in the States they have common law marriages here too. Um, Denise says, my husband and were common law for 8 years, 3 kids. Now together 44 years. He robbed the cradle. Well, Denise, weren't you two just having a lot of fun? Then you screwed it all up by getting married, didn't you? Yeah. um, Johnny Pops draws over. Sorry, you missed it. Andy says, did you have cotillions coming out parties in Canada? Not really. No, that's not a thing here in Canada. Yeah, no, I don't think I've never heard of anybody having a coming out party.
No.
Unless they're gay and they're coming out of the closet. Yeah. No, don't have that for you. No. Oh, Cynthia says the girls' basketball final. Okay, I don't care. So, moving on here. What else did they have to say? Canadian weddings. Yes, we have them. But just like everything else in weddings these days in North America anyways, they're getting more and more extravagant, more and more expensive. You know, people spend $10, $20, $30, $40,000 on one day. Well, they're either rich or stupid. And I think it's probably the latter because come on, you know.
I've been hearing more ever since the pandemic. There's been a lot more people that have cut back and done, the elope thing.
Yeah, well, eloping's always good. It's cheaper. You can still get the gifts.
Yeah.
You just don't have to throw the party. But I mean, some of them go really crazy. Now, again, it depends. In Canada, though, if it's from people from the India culture, East Indian culture, their weddings are very, very elaborate. Because that is a tradition in their culture. And they go all out. And some of the other religious backgrounds too that come from that we're not traditionally part of the North American culture. They have different ways of handling all that kind of stuff. And this is the same with funerals too. And anniversaries, I guess everybody has a party for milestone ones or try to. I mean, we had one for my parents' 25th, their 35th, and their 50th as well. But I guess, yeah, it depends what you can afford. Some people get really elaborate on that kind of stuff. Some people just have family or just nothing. Death, yeah, we die. Funerals, mortician. Funerals are changing though, but I think they're changing it across North America now, more or less, which I applaud. We just went to a funeral 2 weeks ago, and there was nobody laid out in a casket. It was a memorial service. That's what we had for my father. We did not have one for my mother because she died in the middle of COVID kind of a thing. So it was just family at the graveside kind of a thing. But I think funerals are way overdone, and that's because of the funeral directors, because they're big business.
And they keep trying to say, well, if you don't have a big funeral, you're not going to have closure and all this other stuff. We never had a big funeral for my father or my mother or my sister, and the things that we did do is probably more than what we should have done, and nowadays it seems to be a lot more streamlined and less stuff that gets done, and I think for me that works for me. So
yeah. Then they go on here about presents, cards, flowers, Canadian luck traditions. 13th. Well, the number, Christians associate the number 666 with Satan. Yeah, well, this is stuff. These are all
Asians, it's 4.
Yeah. It's all over the place. And astrology, well, big deal. I think they're really scraping here at the bottom of the barrel for some of this stuff. So let's move into religion. Our attitudes to religion. Well, if they say here, according to a 2022 Angus Reid poll, over 75% of Canadians claim to be members of some sort of religious tradition. with the solid majorities also stating they believe in fundamental religious concepts like the existence of God, prayer, divine intervention, and heaven. Though most Canadians are Christians, rising immigration from countries outside Europe has seen Canada grow far more religiously diverse in recent decades, with increasing numbers of Canadians claiming adherence to traditionally Asian and Middle Eastern faiths. Yeah, okay. It is changing in our country. When I was growing up as a kid, I was a Christian. I was raised as a Christian because everybody was raised as a Christian in this country with, and then there's the Jews.
Yeah, but when we grew up, it was mostly a defined Christian group like Catholic or Protestant.
Or Protestant.
And there were people that were more evangelistic, but not very many.
No. So we had the usual mainstream churches like the United Church, in the Protestant section, the United Church, Anglicans, Lutherans, Congregationalists, Methodists, Presbyterians. I was a United Church, Baptist. Then it became that Baptist. Yeah, the usual ones. But now we've got the ones, the Church of the Light, all these kind of ones. The Church of
Well, we still have like Jehovah's Witnesses and.
Yeah, they're there, but they're considered a cult. We do have Seventh-day. Well, that's
Seventh-day Adventist.
Isn't that's Mormon? Isn't it?
No, I don't think it's Mormon.
Are they separate?
I think they're separate.
And then there is the Scientologists.
Yeah, but you don't hear a lot about. We have some, but it's not. Yeah. They're not as mainstream as Protestant and Catholic. Really,
I would say the main religions in our country now primarily are Christian or Muslim. Those are the two, probably the main ones. It's getting to the point now where there is a temple, a mosque, on every street corner.
Well, not that.
Well, no, but
there's a lot of mosques popping up.
When you compare it to when we grew up as kids, mosque was that.
Yeah, we didn't know that.
Now, and everything, and that's fine because as Canadians, we don't usually have a major problem with that. Although recently in the news at a town close to us, some nut bar tried to set a lady who was wearing a hijab on fire in the library. So yeah, that was that. Luckily, she didn't catch on fire. But I mean that was shocking when that was put on the news and we heard that. Like for us as Canadians, that was shocking. That's not something that happens every day. I mean, we have our fair share of discrimination, and we do have our fair share of religious fanatics, like any country out there. But because in our country, religion is protected by our human rights code that we've talked about before. When somebody does something, says something against somebody's religion, like walks up to their face and says something derogatory about it, that's considered hate speech. And it's a hate crime. And that's punishable by law. So, we're a fairly tolerant society because we're so mixed. We have so many different things out there. And I don't have any problem with any of that myself. I have no more of a problem with people that are non-Christian than I have with people who are Christian, because I'm not a Christian. I'm an agnostic, if you wanted to use a label.
I've always been agnostic.
It's his influence. Yeah.
And yeah, I've rubbed off on it.
Yeah. But, we just basically, for the most part, for most Canadians, it's live and let live. We don't get too upset about it. But we do have the extreme Christian right here, and over the last few years they have become a little bit more vocal. Yeah. And I think that's a direct result of the influence of the United States on us, and look where that's been going, right? Now what used to be Catholicism in Canada is still very, very strong, especially in Quebec. And that's because, and we talked about the history of Canada and the fact that the French, who, basically came first, brought their religion, and they were a Catholic country. Then the British came in and kind of conquered them in sort of a half-assed way. They were, of course, Church of England. They were Protestant. So we've always had a certain amount of tension between Protestants and Catholics, but it's not a big deal. Nobody's going out and bombing a Catholic church or, a United Church or something like that. We don't usually have those kind of problems here at all. But it's there. Canada really believes that the state stays out of religion, which I know in the United States philosophy, I'm not sure if it's part of your constitution or whatever, but the separation of the state and religion kind of a thing, although that seems to be blurring these days. And then they talk here about, Protestantism, where it came from, well, it's because of the English influence. United Church of Canada, this is the church that allows everybody. The United Church was one of the first churches to allow who would perform same-sex marriages before it was even federally legal. But they've all their ministers drink wine, other things too. So they're a very liberal church. Whereas you go to the other extreme, Pentecostal or Baptist tend to be, well, there's a saying, Baptists don't dance because it could lead to having sex standing up. No, it's the other way around. Baptists don't have sex standing up because it could lead to dancing. That's how that one works. Maria, what is it you complains? Yeah, so religion in Canada is really a sort of a whatever. You can do whatever you want to do, and that's fine as long as you're not burning crosses upside down or, burning down synagogues or mosques or whatever. Oh, mind you, there has been some of that lately. So who knows? And then, of course, we have Mennonites, we have the Amish, and, everybody else in between for all of that. So, and evangelistic churches are getting bigger in Canada as well. We have several of them very close to where we live. And especially in times when people are troubled, they will turn to religion for looking for guidance and for reassurance. Yep, there we go. There's very common to see this kind of thing in the streets of Canada. We have the Hindus and the Buddhists. We have a little bit of everybody. And of course the Aboriginal people as well have their beliefs too. Which actually, the more that I hear about them and what they believe in, that makes more sense to me. Their spirituality is, makes more sense, really, I think. But yeah, and then we have our witches. We have your pagans, your Wiccans, that kind of thing. And Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna.
Many of those.
No, they're not out. They used to be at the airport all the time. Hello, I have a flower for you. Yeah, go away. Okay, so let's see. What are people saying here? Denise said married on a beach in Vancouver Island, very small. Charlotte says some folks spend more on their wedding than divorce costs. That's true. Yep, with that money you can buy a house, Cynthia says. And I know that
not here.
Not here, no. Yeah. The average house here is like pretty much $1 million or 1.1 million. At least in Southern Ontario. Jeannie says, my friend spent $60,000 on her retirement funds for her daughter's wedding. Oh, ridiculous, really. Give them a crock, send them on their way. Denise says, my grandpa was superstitious of Friday the 13th. He never started or ended anything on that day. He died on Friday the 13th. Well, I guess he had something in there. Oh, Barb says, what's the difference between an agnostic and an atheist? Good question. An atheist doesn't believe in anything. An agnostic believes that there is a supreme power or spirit, but doesn't necessarily believe in organized religion.
Yeah, I guess it can be a little bit more. I like anything. There's degrees of stuff. Like, I mean, somebody may say they're agnostic, but are lean towards an atheist viewpoint, or some can be agnostic and be more religious than.
Yeah, it depends on who you spell.
Like, I mean, agnostic, I think, generally doesn't go to church.
No.
Right. And whereas atheists definitely don't go to church.
Yeah. Well, what was it? There's an old joke or something about a funeral for an atheist and someone looking in the casket says, well, look, all dressed up with nowhere to go. Or something. So I consider myself an agnostic because I do believe in a higher spirit. I believe in spirituality. Okay. Maybe I'm more of a spiritualist, but then I don't know if that's the right term.
I'm not into like what they call, somebody calls a god. I think there is some sort of order to.
Yeah, I think, we have to believe that.
I mean,
because if we don't believe that, oh my God.
I mean, I don't really understand, or I can't say that I can understand, but I don't really believe in praying to a god or something.
I never, when I was supposedly a Christian, not really, I was never a Christian. I was a Christian by tradition because that's what my mother made us go to church. And so we learned everything about, the Bible and all that kind of stuff. But I had a real problem with the Holy Trinity idea, 3 in 1, still don't get it.
I mean, the numbers of different kinds of religions, and they all seem to have their own deity that they pray to or whatever. And I'm not sure. For me, I was never born with religion, and my parents never were religious, so that's just the way it always was with me.
I do believe, though, anybody can believe in whatever they want to believe in if it brings them some form of comfort or solace or whatever in their lives. Just don't take your religious beliefs and try to force them down my throat. You do what you do. You believe in what you believe in. I will believe in what I believe in, and let's just get along with the whole thing. And this is the one thing that I don't believe in is organized religion, because I really feel that the biggest problems we have in the world all stem from some form of organized religion. I mean, after all, the Catholic Church was designed to keep control and keep power, and they still do it to this day, and it is a form, in my opinion, of brainwashing. But that's a discussion for a totally different day, not for this. As far as what we're talking about with Canada and why we're different, it's because I think we are more tolerant of the various religions. However, time will tell, because things are getting a little bit more tense in some cases with that. So, never say never. It's constantly evolving, I guess. Anyways, next week we're going to talk about pop culture here in Canada, and we're going to talk about our art and that, because we have a very, very rich history of art, culture, theater, music, all of that kind of stuff that a lot of people, including Canadians themselves, don't really understand or don't realize that we are on the world stage when it comes to our art. And when I say art, I mean everything from dance, music, literature, all those kind of things. So a lot of Canadians don't realize just how big we are, because we're very strongly influenced by the celebrities of the United States. That's questionable whether that's art, but we'll talk about that next week. So everybody, just see if there's any parting comments here before we run off. Mary says, where did you all get married? We did not get married in a church. We got married in a hall in a golf course.
Club.
Golf club. Actually, that's about a mile up the road from us here. We were married by a minister, but it was a Unitarian minister. Um, and she came and she interviewed us beforehand too, and she asked really hard questions. She wasn't just going to marry us because, you know, we paid the fee kind of a thing. But that's what we did. So our wedding was more or less a party kind of a thing, you know. It was on a Friday night in July, and it'll be just July 15th. It will be 20 years since we legally got married. With that, oh, we should do something special.
Yeah, but we've been together
For
at
42.
that point.
At that point, 22 years.
Yeah.
Yep, I said it's the longest engagement in history. But yeah, that's ours was. Ours was a big party. We had door prizes and all kinds of stuff because that's what we wanted. We wanted to have lots of fun. But it was very important to us that when it became legal that we got married.
Yeah, and more for a legal standpoint
Yeah.
as well, so that you know, if one of us passes on or whatever, that we could make sure
The other
that
one gets all his millions.
that yeah, we made sure that we could take care of each other, type of thing.
Yeah. Okay, so anyways, next week, stay tuned for Culture. You might want to dress up for that. And congratulations to Carolyn, and you get that email to me if you haven't done it already. I haven't checked my email since we went on here. And I will get this into the mail to you. And Sewing with Stephanie and Steve on Wednesday, Pop-Up Sew Day Saturday, Russ's Sewing Shenanigans on Sunday. A full week, not to mention my videos and everything about the retreat coming out tomorrow on a video too. Your one-stop shop in here for entertainment. Yeah. Okay, everybody, have a great week. We'll see you all next time. Bye for now.